Hi guys, welcome to the channel, welcome to a new video. Today we have a very special one. We have a Ferrari Mondial, an 83 model. Quite excited for this one. We're going to go through design, we're going to go through the interior, the engine, we're going to take it for a little drive, and I'm going to tell you why I think you should invest in this car right now, given its value and especially given its potential. So let's jump right into it. Okay, so starting from the front, we have a very slanted nose, which is really cool to see. It's actually a short nose as well. So let's keep in mind this car has its V8 mounted in the rear center, which is interesting. So this being a 2+2 seater, we have a rear mounted engine. So this was the last Ferrari to actually have that. Ever since that, all Ferraris with 2+2 have front engine, rear transmission. So here we have a rear engine with 2+2 arrangement on the seat. So that's quite unique. It was the last model to have it. So we have a short front end and very slanted. So obviously your engine is far in the back. Love the color. So we have a blue sedan, which is really nice in this car. Actually, you usually tend to see them in either black or mostly, your Rosso, your red, proper Ferrari color. So here this blue actually goes quite well with this car. We have pop-out headlights, which obviously is pure 1980s for you. So it's a very cool feature of this car. Absolutely love it. We also have your indicators down in the bottom, very old school as well, and yellow fog lights. It's such a cool look. I really think it goes so well with this car. Absolutely love it. We have obviously a little bit of protection bumper here as per the regulations back in the day. In fact, Ferrari Mondial in a way means Ferrari Global or the global Ferrari, and in a way it was the car that was standardized to sell as much as possible. And in fact they did. They actually sold quite a lot for obviously a small Ferrari in the 70s and 80s, but they did sell quite a lot. So this was the standard Ferrari to have. So there was some relative success to it. So one of the aspects was obviously being a 2+2, so you can actually seat 4 people. Plus all the regulations were observed, so they could be sold everywhere. In terms of design in the front, then we have some indicators here on the side, very pronounced. And obviously we have our Ferrari logo right here in the center, with this grill for refrigeration and for cooling. It's an amazing look, actually very discreet, and at the same time I just think it's very purposeful. So that's the front for you. So here on the side, obviously the first thing that you notice when you come around is obviously the wheels, beautiful wheels. In fact, these are replicas, although they look exactly like the original ones. The reason is, and the owner tells me, you can't find tires anymore with old standard sizes. So naturally, given today's market and today's tire market situation, we need to find different measurements for these wheels. Therefore, replicas were installed so that we can have contemporary tires. Obviously more safe, easier to maintain, easier to run as well. They look absolutely gorgeous. First time I saw them, I actually thought they were the original ones. They look absolutely incredible. And it's quite a look on this car. The silver with the blue, it's really the look. Coming to the middle section of the car, this is perhaps the most controversial one. The reason being the proportions are a little bit different. So because obviously this was based on previous models Ferraris, or two-seater Ferraris. This one was kind of stretched, and you can see that especially here in the middle. So where your C-pillar would normally end here, you actually have an extension so that you can accommodate the back seats, which means that the whole center of the car is actually quite long, and you can see how wide and long this door is, which gives it a little bit of a disproportion here in the center, but you can forgive it given the fact that you can actually use this car for your everyday. So back in the day it was a little bit of a controversial. I think today is still a little bit of a mixed bag of feelings. I don't think a lot of Ferrari purists appreciate this car. I beg to differ on that because, again, this being the last one that has four-seaters and the back engine, the value of these ones will definitely go up. You will see that. So again, coming to the features here, so we have this gigantic door, quite big actually. So we have the air intakes here in the center, look very, very cool. You have them on both sides. And we have a little logo here in the bottom designed by Pininfarina. So back in the day, Pininfarina was obviously driving a lot of cars, some Ferraris. This one, fortunately enough, was designed by them. So you can kind of see all the inspiration and all the characteristics of Pininfarina, the wedged shaped already happening here. So that is your center car. One last note, we have a sunroof, which is kind of cool actually. Coming to think about it, it's a proper family car from Ferrari. So we have a sunroof as well, we have the back seats. I think that's pretty cool, so you can, you know, enjoy your rides with your family back in the 80s in style with comfort. So coming to the back, as the lines kind of flow down here, we have your classic by now Ferrari taillights, so round taillights, obviously on both sides. So that's your classic Ferrari look, already starting here in '83. We also have quad exhaust tips, very, very neat, look very cool as well. So it's actually a very clean design from the back. The whole car is essentially very clean. You don't have a lot of drama or a lot of, you know, vents or a lot of things that won't necessarily feel a purpose. What you do have has a purpose. It's clean, it's neat, clean sheet metal. I really like it. We have a Ferrari logo here. We have another one here on the side. We don't have a mentioning to Mondial as a model anywhere here in the exterior, which is interesting. One thing in the back that we need to make a note, and I think that's probably the one feature. We have the engine mid-mounted here in the rear, but we also have a storage compartment. So not only you can sit 4 people, but we can actually have some storage here in the back. You can actually put some suitcases, you can actually use this. So the engine does not occupy the whole range of the car. Rather, it's a relatively smaller engine. It's a V8, 3-liter V8. But it occupies the car in the middle in such a way that you can actually utilize the back end as storage. So I think that's an amazing feature. You don't see that too often. The only car I can remember with such a feature is maybe the Honda NSX, which is from the 90s. Definitely took inspiration here for sure. But you don't see these sort of cars with this sort of feature anymore. So I think that's really, really neat. So overall, that's your exterior design. Again, very clean, very, very discreet, and I absolutely love that. So I don't quite understand why these cars get so much mixed feelings, but from the outside, it looks amazing. I really like it. Okay, so key situation here, very 80s. We have 3 keys, one for the ignition, one for the passenger door, and one for the driver's door. So essentially you have to carry around 3 keys in order to get around your car. But you know, that is Ferrari, that is the 80s or the 70s when this car was designed actually. So I guess we have 3 keys then. Very simple one. So let's walk to the door now. And the door, I mean, I absolutely love the way you open it. We are seeing now this design coming through again in recent cars, which is a very minimalistic, very flush design. We have this here 40 years ago. I think it's super cool. So a pull, and you can immediately feel the metal. You can feel the heaviness of the door actually, and how big, but not very wide it opens, but it has quite a bit of metal here to negotiate. So coming to a tight spot might be a little bit challenging, because naturally you need to open the door, you know, as wide as possible, I guess, because the front seat is so far back that you need to negotiate this angle. So a little bit of a quirk on this car, given the door situation. So you definitely need a lot of space to go about it. So that is pretty cool. All right, so coming to the interior of the Ferrari Mondial. First impression, it's such a trip down memory lane. Not necessarily because I had a Ferrari when I was young, obviously, but more because it feels like, you know, the 80s and all the cars that, you know, we were driving around in the 80s, your Alfas, your Fiats, all the Italians. You kind of see that here a little bit. There's a few parts being shared by this car with those Italians back in the day, and I surely have my share of Italians back then. So it's all very familiar, although it's also very, you know, new to me. But it does look quite unique, and I love how analog everything is, obviously. So transmission, dogleg, 5-speed manual with a gated, and dogleg. Why? Because you have your first further to the left and down, so that you can go through your second, third, fourth, and fifth as quickly as possible. So your first is always the one that you use the less. So everything else you use more frequently. So therefore, this arrangement called dogleg, absolutely beautiful. You see it here throughout Ferrari history. Of course, you see that quite a lot, and the gated transmission manual is one of the things about Ferrari. So this one has it, amazing one. Steering wheel, obviously very simple, very to the point. There's no buttons, there's nothing here that is distracting. It's just literally a circle with a Ferrari logo, which is beautiful, and you see it here. Center stack, we have your speed, your rev counts. We have a lot of warning lights. I'm not sure if that's some sort of vision into the future of what sort of issues you might encounter, but you do have a lot of warning lights, which is good. Actually, you need to know what's happening with your car, your temperatures, etc. We have a speed reader up to 280, which again, 40 years ago, going 280, let's put some respect here. I think that's quite good. So impressive, really. Again, we have some temperature reads here for oil, for water. We have your fuel gauge as well. This car currently marks 76,000 kilometers. And one of the interesting parts of this car, and why I wanted to feature it, is this car has been since new with the same family. So it was the owner's dad, it's now his, and he told me obviously it will pass on to his own kids. And I think that's absolutely beautiful. In a way, that's why we have these cars, that's why we keep them, that's why we maintain them, that's why we invest so much time and money into them. And this one is full original, has been done everything possible to it. And I think the fact that it stayed in the family so long and it will continue to remain in the family is just really, one of those things that are, beautiful about the car culture. So well done to the owner for keeping up this car so cool and so well, and, passing it on eventually. So coming to the car again, the footwell, I cannot describe how much you need to shift to your right so that you can actually fit into the footwell. The wheels are right here by your left leg. So in classic Ferrari shape, you need to kind of turn your legs a little bit to the right so that you can actually fit. But we know this from all the Italians back in the day, so it's true also for the passenger. But that's okay. Seat position, it's small, given today's standards, somehow comfortable. The back is a little bit short, but it's okay, I guess, for short trips. Uh, Again, in the 70s, we didn't have a lot of, attention to these sort of things. So the seats are definitely reminiscent of that. Okay, so going through the dash, very simple lines. We have this center piece here with some vents, actually 3 of them, odd number. I don't think they are the same size as well. There's 2 of them, they are the same size. I think the third one is slightly bigger. That's Ferrari for you back in the 70s again. Things were, particular, but it adds a lot of character. But you definitely have some good ventilation. You have also some circular ones on the side, and you have a very slanted sort of dashboard, so it makes the whole thing quite small, quite petite here. So you don't have like a massive dashboard that is very in your face. It's actually very clean here, so I like that very much. So coming down, we have a radio installed here, and the owner tells me that back in the day, the radios were installed by the dealers, not from the factory. So each country, and this car is French. So in France, the brand or the radio partnership was with Pioneer. Germany would be some other brand, and so on and so forth. So the radio or the audio system was installed by the dealership as per the destination country. So you have a cassette player. It's actually such a cool look. I haven't seen one of those in literally years. It's so cool to see, all analog with a cassette player. It's so nice. So again, we have transmission. We have a bunch of warning lights here in the center, sort of your computer situation, your inboard computer, which is cool. Some switches here for the windows, for the parking lights as well, and for the fuel door. This car is equipped with AC, which obviously is a very welcome feature. And unlike current cars where your AC is basically here in the front, back in the day things were a little different. So the AC controls are right here, closer to your lower half of the center dash. So we have temperature, which essentially have either cold or warm. You don't have necessarily a temperature, and we have the fan speed as well. So there's not a lot to it, so it's very easy to operate. I want to say a little storage compartment here in the center where you can maybe store some cards, maybe not more than that. And then on the rear we have some vents as well, and a control for it. So this car was definitely designed with the purpose of having people in the back. And you can see that because naturally you have some vents, obviously you have the seats, we have a center console, so you are intended to carry people here, and I think that's really cool. It's not an afterthought, it's not something just for children. You should be able to carry somehow comfortably, kids, small adults, you definitely can do that here. So this car obviously has the vents in the back, you have your seats, and you also have your sunroof, which in this car particularly is not working, which we can excuse obviously. But you do have a sunroof, and you have a very generous, I have to say, sitting position and height to your ceiling, to your roof. So it's somehow comfortable to be in here. Your windshield is quite close to you, and I think I can understand that, how they design it so that you can actually gain this height. But it does feel that the windshield is quite close to you, which it's quite a trait here. So that is your interior on the Ferrari Mondial. A very, very cool interior. I love the seats. Very cool design. Not necessarily comfortable, but very cool design. And it's just walking into a time capsule. I absolutely love it. All right, so opening up the back, and as I mentioned before, right here in the center, mid-mounted right on your axle, you have your Ferrari V8. Beautiful to look at. It's red and it's powerful, very loud as well. So this is a V8, 90 degrees, 3 liters, 4 valves per cylinder. And is mounted across the axle of the car. So Your typical V8s, you have them like on a longitudinal way, which also means they occupy a little bit more space. So if we keep in mind that the purpose of this car is essentially to be able to carry 4 people and some luggage, so they very cleverly rotated the engine in a way that it actually occupies across the length of the car, the width of the car, I'm sorry. So that means that you have a somehow smaller footprint for such a, nice engine. It's a V8, right? So we have 8 cylinders here. This engine is a derivative of a design started with Dino, so this is now like a evolution of that same engine. And throughout the life of the Mondial, we saw a couple of more variations. Firstly, a 3.2, then a T version as well, where the engine would rotate. This one is one of the first versions. Engine itself looks amazing. Owner tells me obviously no expense was spared to make sure that this car is properly running, and we did drive it, we did see it running, and it drives amazing. It runs fantastically for, you wouldn't say that's a 40-year-old car, to be honest. So that's your engine compartment. Coming further back, then you have the trick of the party, which is independent open, including some lights as well, trunk. So you have an engine and a trunk in the back, 2 different openings, so you can access your trunk, and it's isolated, it's heat shielded as well, so you can actually put things here, go shopping, go on a small vacation, and you can use this actually quite well, quite surprisingly. So very nice thought process here. I really think these cars will pick up on value. I think they're still somehow misunderstood. It's a matter of time until we all start to understand how fundamental this car has been back in the day and today. So yeah, that is your storage situation here. Okay, so in the front, we do have some storage, but essentially it's for your spare tire and your cooling system. So the owner tells me that the fans itself were replaced when the restoration was done. Naturally, we are in Dubai, so you need a little bit more of cooling capacity. So those fans were replaced with alternatives to keep the car cool in the weather. The storage, as I mentioned, it's here, but it's just for the tire. So the tire sits here in the front. It's such a 70s thing. I really like to see it. There's even like a leather strap to keep it in place. We still have the original tire here as a replacement, and you can really see the difference how the tires were built before. It's literally like walking to a time machine. It's such a cool sight. So that's your front storage as well. So the shocks here are not working at the moment, which is understandable. I believe the front and a part of the hood and the top are aluminum, which makes this also, weight conscious and therefore lightweight in this case. So yeah, you have the front hinged, typical Ferrari as well. It's just a cool sight to behold, to be honest. It's such a vibe. Alright guys, so driving the Ferrari Mondial, very heavy clutch, so much so that your foot actually kind of touches the wheel, which, it's kind of expected given how close it is to us. But surprisingly docile. It's not a crazy learning curve here. It's actually okay. Steering wheel is obviously direct. There's no assistant, there's no electronic, there's absolutely nothing. But that's okay. Once you start rolling, the car just turns and goes, and that's absolutely fine. You can actually get around it quite well. Brakes, squeaky, heavy, expected. Nothing too different from what you would hope. Gearbox, quite heavy as well. You do have this gated situation. Takes a little while to get used to, but I do understand why they do it, and I think honestly all the cars should have it. This is the way to do a manual, to be honest. Once you start going, it's just like a different... Yeah, this is pretty cool. I can see why the gated is so high regarded. And the sounds... So I'm honored to have the owner here as well. He agreed to talk to us a little bit. Oliver, welcome.
Yes, thank you.
So Oliver, you had the car since forever, since new actually, right?
Yeah, so it was originally sold by Charles Posey, and my dad got it before I was born. And it was non-running for the past 15 years. Basically, he kept the car, and he gave it to me a couple of years ago. And as my kids were getting 4 or 5 year olds, I thought that when I was a kid, my first memories were about that age. So if I don't bring the car now, I will never build those memories. So I brought the car here and had it restored here.
That's amazing. So essentially, when you were a kid, you were riding in this car?
Yeah, I was sharing the 2 back seats with my 2 sisters, so it was a bit cramped.
Oh, okay.
But we made it work.
Okay, okay. So what sort of places do you guys use to take the car? Was this the only car? Did you have like a normal car? Was this like the weekends kind of fun car?
Yeah, this was always the weekend car. He had Golf GTI convertible, I think Mark II. For daily, he had Jaguar XJ.
Nice,
in
good
the
collection
mid-90s.
there.
Yeah, before he had the Maserati Quattroporte also.
Okay.
No, so bi-turbo. And his first car actually was selling in the US, and he got a Mustang over there as his first car.
I think everyone in the US should get the Mustang,
Yes.
right? It's kind of the thing to have. So you were taking this for the weekends. What sort of places were you guys going? Like the beach, the club? Like what was the...
No, it was usually it was short drives and leveraging the 2 seats in the back. So like taking friends and families for short drives around the countryside.
So essentially enjoying the car as it is.
It's a point A to point A type of car. Like you go somewhere, do a drive, but you come back.
That's the experience itself,
Yes.
right? Yeah. I mean, that's amazing. Tell us a little bit about the restoration process. I mean, you've done it here in Dubai, correct?
Yeah, I've done everything
So
here.
how was that experience?
So
expensive, I'm sure, but how was that?
So
for
yeah,
you?
I mean the import already was quite complicated because I learned that France has export tax.
Oh, okay.
So I had to pay 6.5% of its value of exports, then the 11% when arriving here. But I found a shop that allowed me to bring my own parts.
Okay.
And they were very reasonable with the labor. So basically the engine went down, changed all the gaskets, everything that was getting old. But it was not a full rebuild. We didn't change anything like substantial from the block.
Okay.
And I asked also to restore the exterior because there was a rust basically everywhere on the chassis also. On every body panel, so they scrapped everything back to metal and painted back from the with the original color.
What about the interior? Did you guys do anything?
So
in
the interior, no, I didn't do anything with the interior. I just need to do the steering wheel, which is
Yeah, you
past.
feel it a little bit.
Yeah,
yes,
but
of
I think
course.
I will not touch the inside.
I mean, it's impressive because if you haven't done anything, the seats are in amazing condition. I mean, the car has low mileage, like
Yeah, but-
so understandably so. But it's been a few decades.
So the
Looks
interior
amazing.
actually, my dad has done some work because
Okay.
originally it came tan.
Oh, okay.
And
okay.
it turns out when you have kids like me and my sister in the back, we put our feet on the chairs, on the seats, and it was completely destroyed in the back. So he made it
I see.
again and in black.
Okay, I see. But still, though, you know, it still has a few decades on top. So yeah, amazing. Well, thank you very much. It's an amazing build.
Thanks.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, guys. So what do we think about the Mondial and about this car specifically? As I mentioned in the beginning, my impressions are that this car is still a little bit misunderstood by the Ferrari community. I can understand the why, but we need to remind ourselves what this car represents. To me, this is the last one, the last Ferrari 2+2 with a rear engine mounted. From the 80s, it was a success for Ferrari. I mean, they sold quite a few back in the day, and it represents all around the Ferrari. We haven't seen this sort of car up until the FF in the 2000s. So to me, this is quite special, and it represents quite a unique approach from Ferrari to the world. Therefore, global name like Mondial being the name. So it's an amazing car. It's an amazing build as well. Congratulations to the owner, and obviously thank you very much for allowing us the time with this car. I think the renovation of the car, the construction will carry on. Obviously, there's always things to be done. But for the most of it, it's still original. It looks amazing. It looks so much better in person, to be honest. So an amazing car. So if you can, please do get one. If you see it being sold by someone, I think this is only going to go up in value. And the driving experience, if you're new to Ferraris, if you're new to classic cars, this is probably one of the cars to have, to be quite honest. So thank you very much for watching, and yeah, see you next time.